So for my quarter four presentation portfolio, I decided to create a little presentation of two of my family members I know who I have been told stories about, and just stuff like that, who have served and during wartime, World War II specifically, and I know that it was going to be difficult to find information on them just because, the only information that I really could find other than obituaries would probably be from my family members. So I decided to contact my great great, I think, Aunt Becky, who was willing to do an interview with me so I could get some information on her father who served in World War II and was also a Pearl Harbor survivor. And we talked on the phone for about an hour to do the interview process. And it was really a new format for me. I'd only done one or two interviews, I think, in my life. So in order to, come with questions prepared, to ask and, to have some follow-up questions was a new challenge, definitely. And I think with that and the added, I think, sensitivity that I had to have going into the interview was something that I was not used to, definitely. It was still my favorite part of all of my portfolios that I had created throughout this year, and I think that this probably was maybe the most important to me specifically, just because it related so closely to me, and there was documented evidence of family members that I had already met, like not met. Well, I met one of them, but of family members who there had been records of previously, and I found out some really interesting information when I had the interview. And I think the most important piece of it all, I mean, there's a lot of information that I was given on it, especially on Gene Cole, who was my great great uncle, I think, and or maybe third grades. I'm not really sure. But he was a Pearl Harbor survivor, and I wanted to know a little bit more about that, especially in regards to, what happened to him on that day. I knew that he was already, I already had talked to my dad a little bit before this, just, growing up, and he had mentioned that that Uncle Gene was stationed on the USS Zane, so I had already known a little bit about some things, but I didn't know a lot of the stories about him. Like, I didn't know a lot of the stories about Uncle Gene and how he was as a person, and how he treated people. And when I talked to Becky Cole, she told me that he was a very kind man, that he did a lot of stuff that wasn't always following the rules, but when he did, it was, for a good reason. Like, there was one time where he stole from the Army supply, the Navy supply, to give to a family who had nothing. And at his funeral, that woman came up to Becky and said that if he had not given them food, that they would have starved. And I just think, stories like that kind of give more of an insight into what kind of person he was, more than just saying that, oh, he was a Pearl Harbor survivor. Like, that alone is really cool, but giving more of a personal twist on it really was new to me. And also, I'd never talked about, my family before, especially, in regards to this. And, it was always kind of an off-topic conversation to have, or not off-topic, it was not allowed, basically. And so in order to talk about this, it was, daunting, definitely, but it was still my favorite piece of, putting it in my portfolio and creating it. And I also really like creating presentations, so it was really fun overall.